Okay, so well, not super short, but a shorter video coming at you today. I'm just going to chat with you about our plans this year, my breeding plans for the goats, the other animals on the farm, coming, going, whichever. So let's start with what we want to do around the house, the homestead, this spring and summer. So the major thing is we want to give the does a new shelter, something bigger, hopefully like a 12 by 12, 12 by 14. And the reason we're doing this is because they're in a little 8 by 10 right now, and for the number of goats I am probably going to end up with, it's just not feasible to store, I shouldn't say store, to house that many in a little 8 by 10 shelter. Josh and I have talked. We have decided no more than 20 goats, including the boys. We're probably going to have 4 boys by the end of summer, and I think I'd like to always keep 3 or 4 boys, so that would mean 16 does. And even then, I don't think I'll ever reach that 16 amount, because that's a lot of does to milk when they're breeding. But yeah, I plan on definitely hanging on to a kid or 2 out of Feline. Maybe not necessarily this year. I'm gonna see what she gives me for babies, depending on who I pair her up with. If I get the buckling I'm on the wait list for, I'm gonna pair her with him because he's coming from a 4-star milker mom and a B+ father. So she would be paired with him. If I don't get him, she's going to be paired with Thor. I might hang on to, if she throws me a Doling, I might hang on to her for a year, see how she develops. Possibly breed her, see utter attachment, see what Thor throws. And then go from there as to whether I'm going to keep that Doling or sell her. But Feline will be a year in October, so she's going to go in with whichever buck at that point in November. She'll stay with the buck for 2 months, so all of November, all of December, and January will pull her out. That way she has 2 heat cycles in with the buck. Unless she's very obvious with her heat cycles. Lucy and Ethel have not been the whole time I've had them. I could never tell when they were in heat. So that's why I plan on keeping Feline in with a buck for 2 months. If she's very obvious and I can tell she's in heat, then it'll just be put her in for breeding and she can go back with the other does. But she'll be bred in November of this year. Ophelia, who is going to be here in April, is going to be put in with the boys here in about a month. I'm going to weigh her one last time. I'm going to give her a good look over. I'm going to check her thorough to thorough. I'm going to give her copper. She's going to get a fecal done. And then as long as everything checks out for her and she comes back healthy, she will be put in with the boys. Ophelia is our Nubian, by the way. So she'll be in there for 2 heat cycles as well. And she should have babies depending on when she's bred. So July, August, September-ish. Somewhere over the summer. Lucy will get bred again in probably December. I'll wait till December to put her in. Maybe I'll put her in November. And Ethel, who's hopefully going to have babies here in the next week or 2, she won't be bred again until January of next year. I could breed Lucy and Ethel sooner than what I'm going to, but I don't want to overwork their bodies. They're kind of on the smaller side for Nigerians to begin with. Lucy did great giving birth. Neither Josh or I were out there. She had both babies just fine. She's doing great. But I don't want to overload their bodies in such a short time, so I'll probably wait a little longer to breed them in between. New goats coming this year. We have a mini Oberhausley on reserve. Hopefully I'll find out if we're getting her The doe's due, I think, March 8th, the lady said, so I should know by March, I'm going to say 15th, because, you know, does never stick to due dates, whether or not she's coming to the homestead. And then I'm on a wait list for a buckling and a doe Nigerian dwarf from the same breeder. I should know here in the next, definitely by May, whether both of them are coming. I'm expecting the buckling, yes. The doling, I'm gonna say probably not. The woman that plans on retaining a doe out of every pairing I picked. So unless I get super lucky and nobody else is on a wait list for my pairings and the doe has more than one doling, I'm not staying super hopeful about a new Nigerian doling coming in the spring. I am going to, however, if I don't get my doling in the spring, I'm going to reach out to a couple breeders that have really good genetics and get on a wait list for hopefully a fall kid. That way we can start a really good little foundation herd of really good genetic Nigerian dwarfs. In my particular area, I have to travel at least 2.5, 3 hours into Western New York, into Mass, into Vermont to get really good Nigerian genetics. So my plan is to get really good ones near me, so people who want to raise really good goats, it's available. I've had a couple people ask me if we would ever replace any of our goats. The answer is yes. When it comes down to it, the boys will be the ones that get sold off first, starting with Achilles and Apollo because they're not registered. But that all depends, because breeding bucks don't tend to live super long. They live like 8 to 10 years because breeding is so hard on them. So we'll see where we're at. But Achilles and Apollo would be the first that I would sell to make room for new genetics. The only goats that will never go anywhere on this homestead are Lucy, Ethel, Ophelia, and Feline. The 4 main does I have right now. Lucy and Ethel were my first 2 goats that my husband got me as an anniversary present for our 1-year wedding anniversary, so they have a permanent spot here regardless. Ophelia is just a sweetheart, and I couldn't imagine selling her and walking out to the doe's pen every day and her not being there, so she's stuck here. She's not going anywhere. And Feline, that whole roller coaster ride with her in December and all last year, she's too special to me. I couldn't part with her. There's no way. Sorry, allergy attack. I was petting the cat. But for those of you guys who are new or don't know or didn't see the Instagram story, my mom passed away just over a year ago, last year in January, 20 days after her birthday. Her name was Feline, and when I watched Danelle's video where she announced the names for Feline and Fiona and heard that the little white and gold doe with the heart shape on her back got the name Feline, I jokingly told the husband that if she were to ever to sell her, I needed to try to get her. Well, the week before my birthday, I got a very strong sense that I needed to message Danelle. So I took a leap of faith. I messaged Danelle. I wasn't expecting a response back, but I kind of told her the story, and that if she ever, you know, was willing to ship a goat, or could ship a goat, and was going to sell Feline, I'd be very interested in her. Well, Danelle messaged me back, which was very kind of her. She's very amazing to talk to. And yeah, that's what started the whole thing, and we got Feline in December. It was a little iffy with shipping her because we had some weather issues the day that she was originally supposed to come. So we ended up having to push the ship date back a little bit, and we finally got her. So that's the plan with the goats. As far as breeding the rabbits, we're going to take our original trio we got last year. We're going to probably breed them, I'm going to try for the end of March, try to convince the husband. Our Aprils usually aren't too bad, so I think the babies would be okay. And then probably towards the end of summer, we'll breed the 2 new females we just got with our boy. And yeah, so we'll have baby rabbits hopefully this spring and fall. The chickens, I plan on hatching out some of our Bielfielder eggs probably in April. Oh, maybe not April. I have birds coming in May, so I might wait. I don't know yet. But I do plan on hatching out some of their eggs. We're down to 10 hens. I'd like to at least get 10 more to add, and then the roosters will go in a pen to be raised to put in the freezer. Bielfielders, I've mentioned it a couple times, they're an auto-sexing breed, so you could tell the males from the females at hatch, which when we get the incubator and we start incubating the eggs, I'll make sure to record as they hatch. I'll try my best at least. In May, we have some meat chickens coming, some Cornish cross. Even though we have the Bielfielders, which are a dual-purpose breed, I still plan on raising Cornish cross here and there. They're not as tough when they're butchered. Like the birds, you have to grow a little bit longer, so they're going to be better for deep frying, grilling, roasting in the oven, whereas the Bielfielders will be better for my Instant Pot meals, slow cooker meals, anything that's going to take a little bit longer for them to cook. And not that I feature a ton of me cooking, but I tend to cook with my Instant Pot quite a bit. Josh isn't always out of work before I need to start cooking, so a lot of my meals are Instant Pot meals. Quick, easy, they're my go-tos, we enjoy them. And I love that thing. I actually have 2 of them. I got one as a wedding present from my parents, and then Josh's parents got me one for Christmas one year. And honestly, if somebody would buy me a 3rd, oh, I'd be in heaven. But I'm going to definitely try to show more of me cooking in it, share my recipes with you. In the description below, I will actually share a Instant Pot ziti I made tonight. I'll put the link to, if I can find it again, the link to the recipe I used. If I can't find it, I'll just write out what I did, or type out what I did if it'll fit. And you guys will have to give that a try and let me know how you like it. We thought it was pretty good. And let's see. So that's our plans with that. So in May, along with the Cornish crosses, I have 2 more geese coming, 2 Toulouse geese. And I have 6 silver appleyard ducks. I chose the silver appleyards because they're a dual-purpose breed. They're good for meat and eggs. We haven't had duck. We're going to try it. If we don't like it, my plan is to take extra duck and rabbit and chicken and make some homemade dog food so we can cut back on how much kibble the dogs get. Ace, as you can tell, he's a horse. He's going to the vet as soon as I get taxes back. So I'll have an accurate weight on him. But the last time he was there, he was 125 pounds. He eats about 16 cups of dry dog food a day. Not that it's a big deal. He gets 4 in the morning, and then he eats the 4 we pour out for Raven. She gets about half of a cup out of all that before he eats it. And then he does the same thing at night. So he's eating about 16 cups of dog food a day. So the other reason we're getting ducks again, normally I wouldn't because we've had so many issues with predators and ducks. The other reason we're getting them is because Josh's mom actually cannot eat chicken eggs. So I like to keep the ducks, so a lot of the eggs we get I actually give to her so she can eat eggs. She can eat goose eggs, but they don't lay reliably enough for me to have a supply for her, so that's the other reason we're getting ducks. And coming up in May, we get to say goodbye to our pigs. The whole reason behind getting these 3 pigs was for meat purposes. We went into it knowing we were raising them up for the freezer. Along the way, it was also a learning experience for us. I personally really like having them because there's been so much less food waste in our house than there was previously. A lot of the stuff that you can't feed to the dogs, I can feed to the pigs, and vice versa. So instead of throwing out what I felt was a lot of leftovers and food waste, it's actually having them has cut down quite a bit. So that brought around a conversation that Josh and I had about getting a breeding pair of Kune pigs for the farm. The main reason for it being the Kune breed and not like a Berkshire or a Yorkshire is because the Kunis aren't going to root around as much as your other breeds. Their snouts are shorter and more upturned. So they won't always be in a huge mud pit like these pigs have been, even through the winter. Second, they're more of a, I don't want to say a heritage breed, like they are a heritage breed of sorts, but their meat is supposed to have more flavor, and we just think that for our purposes, they would be a better fit than one of the regular breeds. So we're going to be looking at a pair probably next fall, or spring or fall of next year. I have to reach out to a couple breeders that are in New York State and see when they set up for babies, if it would even be possible to get any in the fall. If not, I'll have to get them in the spring. And where we're putting our garden this year will end up being a permanent pig pen, I guess I'll say. We'll take you along on that build as we do that. That'll be in the fall of this year, though, after our garden's gone. But yeah, hoping to say goodbye to the pigs in May. By that point, I'll have a lot of seedlings started, so I'll need the pigs out of my garden so I can plant. What else are we doing this year? We want to fix up our shed. It's going to need a new roof, a couple of the walls replaced, probably some new doors, and when we do it, we want to set up some stalls on the inside of it. Not necessarily to move the goats up there, but we have talked about potentially getting a cow. We know that we would have to feed it more hay than pasture because we don't have the land necessarily to pasture raise a cow. But we've talked potentially about getting one of the smaller breeds like a Dexter for meat and milk. There's a little bit more research that has to go into that, so I'll probably have a final decision on that towards the end of summer, whether we're actually going to do it. We also have to fix up our chicken coop. That needs some new walls. It's going to get a little bit of an expansion and be a little bit bigger, and it needs a new roof. And then we're going to take care of our stumps and the clearing for our orchard. We didn't take care of them this past summer, and I'm kind of regretting it, so we're going to try to take care of them this summer, make sure they're gone before I order fruit trees to put out there. And next year we're also going to hopefully be getting a greenhouse, which is exciting because then I'll be able to grow stuff year round. But with that also comes, I'm going to have to learn how to cycle plants out, cycle them off and on type deal, so it's going to be a learning curve, but I'm excited. We're working towards our more self-sustainable goal. And yeah, other than that, this summer the videos will be a bit more exciting because we'll have the garden to show off all these projects we have going on, which we're going to tackle one by one, starting with the new housing for the does. And then from there it'll be the chicken coop, the shed. We have a couple inside projects to do, which I can get you before and after shots of that. I want to try to get my living room fixed up and my 2 bathrooms. The 2 bathrooms will definitely be doable. The living room should be doable. It really just needs the ceiling and 1 wall replaced. The floor is not in too bad shape, so I'm not really worried about replacing that. And it's got a door that needs to be ripped out and that needs to be closed in, and a window replaced, so we'll see. Eventually, one of these videos, you guys will get a house tour once we get the inside all fixed up. I do have to take it room by room. The house, it's not in horrible shape, but it needs some updating. And the last room will be the kitchen, which I'm sitting in now, because if I'm doing it, it's going to be my dream kitchen. So but yeah, if you guys have any questions or I left something out, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Hit me up on Instagram. You can hit up the Facebook page. And we will try to address those in the next video. And like, subscribe, go follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook. The Instagram account's a little bit more active than the Facebook account. But yeah, and that's the best way to stay up to date with everything. Right now, probably up until summer, it's just going to stay at 1 video a week. It's more feasible for us, and with not a lot going on, it doesn't make sense to have 2-3 videos. But once summer hits, my goal is to do two actual videos showing stuff, and then maybe a 3rd video at the very end of the week with like a little quick update on just things. But we'll see. We'll see what summer brings. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening.